welcome back, and thanks for joining me for today's free online piano lesson. Usually I'm a cat with me in these little intro videos, but she's really not into being on a video today. It's almost like she doesn't want to be on the internet. I don't know. But I'm here to teach you about the key of D with 2 sharps. Let's go take a look at the circle of fifths and see how it all fits together. Here's our printout of the circle of fifths from pianomusictheory.com. So far, we've learned the key of C, no flats, no sharps. Then we learned the key of G, 1 sharp, and then we learned the key of F, 1 flat. So today we're gonna learn the key of D, 2 sharps, and then the next key we learn will be B flat with 2 flats. So the sharps that we're using are F sharp, like we had in the key of G, and then we're adding a C sharp. So not only is D a 5th or 7/2 steps above G, but C sharp is a 5th or 7/2 steps above F sharp. So this is really where the circle of fifths kind of starts to blow your mind. It's really all interconnected by fifths. It's just the coolest thing. And it was something that I was really drawn to in music theory, and I really love it. And once you start getting to having 2 accidentals in your keys, you can really see those things. So let's go over to the keyboard and learn our key of D major scale. So here's our keyboard. Now at this point in this series, you've already learned 3 major scales, so you kind of know the drill. We're gonna play from D to D on all white keys, but we're gonna have 2 sharps in the key signature, F sharp and C sharp. And like I mentioned before, these are a 5th apart. When you put your fingers here, it's kind of the crude way of finding a 5th, but it just feels like a 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 half steps apart. Okay, so D to D. And you're gonna use the same fingerings that you used in your key of C scale. It's kind of the standard scale fingering pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So we have our pattern. Now let's go up and down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Just practice it enough times that you feel like you can't do it wrong. Now let's look at the left hand. Fingerings, again, are the same as your C major scale, G and F. So just that standard scale fingering pattern. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Get really comfortable with this. Play it till you can't play it wrong. Here's our D major scale, 1 octave, hands together. 1, 2, 3, cross right, cross left, cross left, cross right. Now this should feel really familiar to you. You've done it here, and you've done it here. Same thing here. The only difference is that we're having to remember 2 sharps, 2 accidentals. 1, 2, 3, cross right, cross left, C sharp, cross left, cross right. Now let's look at that D major scale, 2 octaves. I'm gonna do 1 hand at a time. Here's my right hand first. Don't end on 5, cross your thumb under and do it again. Back down. here's the left hand 2 octaves. 4, 1, we'll finish it out as usual. Cross your 4 over to start again. Now here's our 2 octave scale, hands together. Now let's review our key signature. So we're in the key of D. D is do, D is home, and we have 2 sharps. I already kind of talked about this at the beginning. Whole, whole. To have that first whole step, you have to use an F sharp instead of an F. So you'll only have one kind of each letter name. So if you're using an F sharp, you're not going to use an F, unless otherwise stated, but it's pretty general. And then we have a C sharp. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So it makes our pattern work. Again, since you have a C sharp, you won't be playing a C natural. Let's take a look at our chords in the key of D. Just remember to always play F sharp, always play C sharp, no Fs, no Cs, and all these chords are going to come out the same way that they do in all of our other keys. Our 1 chord is a D major. 2 chord is E minor. Our 3 chord is going to have both of those sharps in it, F sharp, A, and C sharp. That's an F sharp minor. Our 4 chord is a G. 5 chord is a A major. 6 chord is a B minor. 7 chord is a C sharp diminished. Back to our 1 chord, which is a D. And those chords always come in that same pattern of major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and back to major with 1. And then the chords that we use the most, like we've said before, are 1, 4, 5, and 6. So chord patterns. I'm going to look at an old hymn. I'm going to do Shall We Gather at the River? Because I have always played that song in D, and there's really only 3 chords to it. So I'm using 1, 4, and 5. My 1 chord I can play D, F sharp, A. I can play F sharp, A, D, F sharp. Those are all the different inversions. We haven't really taken a whole lesson to look at those yet. So, I mean, it's something that you can kind of intuitively figure out. If you're someone who likes to know the theory behind it, we'll definitely talk about that in a future lesson. If you're watching this in the future and that is already posted, then go ahead and find it. Our G chord is our 4, so we can play G, B, D, B, D, G, D, G, B, and then our 5 chord is A. Okay, so I'm just gonna play the chords, nothing fancy, and we'll try to add a little singing. Shall we gather at the river? And I'm gonna go to 5. Where bright angels' feet have trod. Back to 1. With its crystal tide forever flowing by the throne of God. And then I did 5 back to 1. And then I made the 1 chord, I gave it a 7, which is a C. That makes it a minor 7. And that kind of leads you to the 4. We'll talk about that in more detail in the future too. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful part, I have a 4, G, back to 1, which is D, 5 is A, and then D, and then to lead into my G, I'm going to put a 7 on it. G is 4, 1, D, then A is 5, and then I'm going to do a little 1, 4, 1 to end. So there's my chords, there's the pattern, cute little song. All right, last thing we're gonna look at is to put in some bass notes, and we're gonna just make it a little fancier. We're gonna walk around a little bit. Maybe we'll have the bass note walk and or the bass line walk around a little bit, and I'm gonna add a 7 in. It's gonna be fun. It's not necessary. If you just wanna play straight chords, 1, 4, and 5, your song will still sound beautiful. But if you're ready to make it a little bit more colorful, you wanna add some stuff in, then go for it. I'm also gonna be playing some different patterns in my right hand. If you think about it as a guitar player, if you hold a chord in your left hand and you strum it with your right, I kind of like to think of the piano like that too. I mean, you can just use those chords under your fingers, but play them in a few different rhythmic patterns, and you kind of build your own bag of tricks as a musician, and you'll pick up different patterns from different places. That's why it's important to just play a lot of music, because you never know what you'll pick up from anywhere. So I'm gonna throw in some bass notes. Here's Shall We Gather at the River. Shall we gather at the river, where bright angels' feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing by the throne of God. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. So I put in a couple of 7ths on some of my chords. I put a 7 on my 1 chord to lead to the 4. I think I threw a 7 on the 5 to lead to the 1. So that voice leading is really fun. I think those are pretty basic though. When you're playing the 1 chord and you have a 7, it's gonna lead to 4. When you have a 5 chord and you put on a 7, it's gonna lead to 1. So just an easy way to remember those things. When I had the bass line walking, I was going from 1 to 4. So anytime you're going from 1 to 4, that walking bass line will work. So I played a 1, and then I walk up and I play a 1 over the 3rd, over the F sharp. And then that 3rd is going to lead to the root of the 4 chord. The river, oops. Gather with the saints at the river. I got carried away, forgot where I was singing. So all different kinds of things that you can do to just give your key of D playing a little bit more color and have a little bit more fun with it. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed playing in the key of D. Happy practicing. Bye.